Hey, Regina from Eat Travel Life. Today we are dehydrating cherries. Grab your apron, let's get started. It's going to take a while to dehydrate these cherries. Here's what you need, plus some bowls, of course, to get started. And we are going to pit and remove the stems from these washed cherries. I use this, and you put the cherries in, depending on what size they are, you will use that side of the tray. This one's pretty well worn. So let's go ahead and do that. And while you're removing the pits, after you remove them, you're going to also need to check to make sure that it actually removed the pit, because it doesn't always do that for us. This is a long process, but it's well worth it. You don't want to end up dehydrating any pits. So go ahead and do that for all your cherries. And these are cherries that we got from the store. I want to say they're like black cherries or Bing cherries, something like that. As far as how many cherries you need to do this, you need to figure out how many cherries you want to dehydrate, because these are going to shrink about a quarter of the size that they are right now. That is a 12 cup bowl that we're using, and it'll be a lot less cherries once they're dehydrated. You'll notice that I'm putting these cherries in a bag. That's because I am going to freeze these cherries at least until they're hard, and then I'm going to drain out some of the juices, trying to speed up the process in the amount of time it needs to dehydrate, because these take about 24 hours to dehydrate, and that's a mighty long time. If you don't want to freeze them and then dehydrate them, you can certainly just skip this point as far as freezing them. You're going to still need to remove the pits and the stems from the cherries. And now that we've got that all done, let's go ahead and clean up our mess real quick. There is some little water left over from my washing them, and we are going to freeze them until they're firm, or overnight, like I said. And by magic, we're going to show you what they look like all frozen. So what you're going to do now is you're going to need to thaw the cherries after they're frozen, and get a colander and let them drain. So see here, they've been frozen overnight. We need to let them thaw now. And then once they're thawed, you can then see, like they are here, drain them. You don't want to just put them in. You could just put them in that colander and let them thaw, but I just throw them in the fridge and let them thaw, and then drain them, and then we can have them and put them on in the dehydrator to get started dehydrating. Wow, that took a long time, but I tell you, they're so worth it. We had about 2 bags of cherries, so we're going to just make sure we get them all into this one so that we can collect all the juice. Now, with the juice, you can use and make jelly, or you can drink it. So we probably got 2 cups of cherry juice there, and we're just going to store that until we're ready to make jelly. So grab your cutting board and your dehydrator trays and a knife, and let's go ahead, and we're going to cut them all in half. And the reason why you want to do that is you want them to be small enough to dry easy. They're going to dry a lot easier if you cut them in half versus using a whole one. They'll take twice as long. More airflow around a little piece versus a big piece. And just cut them all up. It's going to take a long time, but what you're going to be able to do while you're cutting them up is also do a second check to make sure that there's no cherry pits, which is important. And then you want to fill your tray pretty full. I think we got 4 trays worth, 4.5 trays. You want to have about 135 Fahrenheit temp, and that was after 3 hours. And then after 24 hours, I'll show you what they look like. That's 3 hours in. Still dehydrating. 24 hours. And now see how small they are? They really did lose a lot of space. We're going to bag them. We use food saver bags, and then I use the bench scraper to remove them because they were stuck on there pretty darn hard. And that is a plastic sheet that I put them on, so it was easier for me to use a little bit of a force on there to get them to come off of there, and it went a lot faster than picking them off individually. So you just bag them up is in the portions that you will use them, and then you can freeze the bags, seal the bags, like with your food saver or just with a regular bag, and make sure you date them. And it's pretty simple. Let me know in the comments what you'll be using your dehydrated cherries. Will you just be eating them? Will you be making muffins, scones, or putting them in other treats? Are you make? Don't tell me you're going to be making that bread. These cherries are way too good for fruit cake. It's not a bread, it's cake. But they'll be really stuck on there. See, that's a pit. Good eye. So just make sure you don't freeze any of those because you don't want to eat those. And you'll just repeat this process for all of your cherries. Magic of fast videos. And then I dehydrated and put them in the food saver bags. And then I planned on freezing these, and that's what they look like when they were done. And inspect all your bags before you put them in the freezer, because I had one that I found that didn't seal. So that was one that we got to eat immediately. A good catch there. So let me know what you're going to use your cherries for and what kind of cherries you're dehydrating. I thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe, and have a wonderful day.